Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Foundation Health and Wellness and Jelaine Fallhaber, CNP. Her practice focuses on thoughtful, personalized care that helps patients feel informed, supported, and confident in their health decisions. From hormone therapy to wellness and aesthetics, visit foundationhw.com to get started.
Let's get started. Well, welcome to Table Talks with Kay Woodward. My name is Marion, and I am your host today, not because Kay is out of town or on holiday, but because we're turning the tables on her for this 50th episode and putting her in the hot seat for once and talking about a very important project and special project to her heart that she has been taking under her wing for the last year. And so we're celebrating 50 episodes today with a live audience. We're so excited. And before we jump in to talk about what we're here to talk about today, I just want to say, I know I can probably speak for all of you in the room, for anyone listening or watching, that this podcast has touched your heart. I know there's been episodes where I've cried, I've laughed, I've been encouraged, I've been challenged, and I know you guys feel the same. You've had some incredible leaders, both in the church world, in ministry, and just having that real conversation. It means something to people. So we're here because we love you, we support you, and today we're going to talk about something that you have poured your heart and soul into for the last year, and that's a book. So we know you've released a cookbook, which kind of sparked this podcast, but this came to you about a year ago, I believe, and we're going to talk about it tonight. It's called Unfolding. So let's just start there. Why Unfolding?
So again, thanks for everybody that's joining in, and for the live audience that's here. We're just really excited that you're experiencing this with me tonight. It's great to have friends and people that familiar faces that I love so much. So yes, real quick, the 50 episodes, it's crazy. I mean, 2 years with the podcast and some of the most amazing guests, and my family's been on it, great speakers. So I think over the time with the cookbook 2 years ago, it was like something to get my feet wet a little bit. I think I mentioned this when we debuted the cookbook, that I had recipes scattered everywhere in my whole house. They were on box tops, scrap paper, just copies everywhere, and then Galen said, you ought to do a cookbook, and I did the cookbook. But in writing that foreword and the intro and the preface and those things, I thought, I think I like this, and maybe I have something to say. And that's not funny.
Maybe
I have something to say. I have few words, and so maybe I'd have something to say if I tried to write a book. So I started this little journey. It really wasn't a plan at first. It was more like I thought about it, and I thought, what would I do if I were to write a book? And I've teased, but the only person I said those words to was Karen, the nail girl. Because, your hair and your nail person know everything. Yeah. And I said to her, she's a lot younger than me. She's not in my world, with people here. And I said, I think I might write a book. And so I just started bouncing ideas off her, and that's kind of how it started. So it wasn't a plan. It was kind of like discovered, and I just bounced ideas off her. I realized that stories I had lived, it was kind of crazy, Marion, stories I had lived were turning into principles that I thought, maybe this could help somebody. It was more than a story for the sake of life and just living in a story. They weren't just memories anymore, but I thought, I think it's kind of a lesson.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I started it. And it wasn't just for me anymore. And I thought, if I could have a platform or a place to help somebody else. And I know people think, there's a lot of people that write books and think they're going to help us, and we read through it and go, yeah. But I really do think mine's different.
Yes. Duh. Well, I think so.
It's going to help you.
Well, Kay sent me the manuscript, so I had the opportunity to read it. Thank you. And yes, there's so much gold in it. I can't even, you guys are going to just tear through the book in 2 days, I swear, because you're sharing your life experience with us, and you're so real all the time when you're, whether you're speaking on stage or just talking person to person, and that comes out on every page. So you're in for a treat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I just kind of teased before we started this recording that I'll be 65 this summer, which I think I can't believe it, and I'll be on Medicare, which just blows my mind. So then I'm going to get my cataracts removed because I'm going to have good Medicare then. So I'm excited about that so that I can read these words better. But why was this the right season? I really did. I asked God, I was like, I would have loved to have done this younger. I feel like at this age, no matter how many chapters you have in your life, I can't have 64 left. So I wonder, I asked God, why happened, but why this part of my life? And I really felt like God spoke to me. And that's just interesting. If you, not in an audible voice, like I don't hear you, if you've ever heard God audibly, that's amazing. I have not. But I have a real sense that I feel the Holy Spirit and I know God's speaking something. But I felt like a year ago that the Lord spoke to me and said, you have perspective. What you have right now in your life that you did not have even a decade ago, you have perspective on these seasons that you've walked through that you did not have. And I think that's one of the reasons I felt like this was the right season. I didn't feel like I had to prove myself anymore. This is... I was a little more reserved in the cookbook, and I worked really hard in this book to let my sarcasm come through, and my humor, and because I have people that kept me in check. But when your person keeping you in check is Lainey Brunetto, you're okay, because she is cut from the same cloth. So if that's your oversight, you're good to go. So anyway, this season turned out to be the perfect season.
No better time than the now.
I guess so.
I love it. So cool. So let's talk about unfolding, the title of the book. What does that mean in real life to you?
I actually today was sharing this story with somebody because when I started writing these stories, it's just really odd. I'd write a little bit, and then I would think, what would I name this book if I started naming it? I came up with all kinds, like Becoming, and I thought, that Becoming. It didn't fit. And I kept thinking of things. And then one day, this is a true story, and I didn't write this in the book, but I was cutting an onion up for something to cook, and I was, peeling that first layer off, and then I'm like, there was another one. You can't, then that's that flimsy stuff. You're trying to get to the good onion, and you keep peeling layers off, and it dawned on me, that is our life. It's not linear. Yeah. It's layers. And our life is so layered as we peel back the layers of that onion. I thought, there's always something. Our life is unfolding. I thought so many times in my life that when I get past a season, okay, I could breathe, then it's going to get easier. Yeah. Do you know that? It never does. It's just one season, and you may breathe a minute, and then you have another season, and you breathe a minute. But it's always unfolding. So I chose that title because nothing in my life has been linear, and that's what I like. I like a good plan, and I love it not to be messed up. And I like things to just go just like they're supposed to go. This up and down thing, and at our church in Albuquerque at Citizen Church Sunday, our pastor, which is my son, he preached on that very thing. And I thought, why are you preaching this? I want someone to preach linear. We want a straight line. No valleys and no mountains, but the Word of God tells us that, that's what it's going to be. And I felt like the title Unfolding gave us permission, gives me permission and you permission to process. It tells us that you won't arrive, you have not arrived, you won't ever arrive, and you won't ever be folded up just right. Yep. So we have permission for our life to be in process.
Yeah, I love that. And throughout, clap. It's amazing. I feel like there was this linear thread through all the chapters because you talk so much about God's faithfulness and whether we don't feel it, whether we're doubting, whether we feel like we're in the valley or on the mountaintop, God is faithful. Mm-hmm. And that's so apparent in every chapter that you wrote on the page was just, he's faithful, he's faithful, he's faithful. And I loved that. And there was a chapter you almost left out. Let's talk about that.
So it made the cut because I felt like I was supposed to, but there's a chapter, it's chapter 7, and I struggle with titles, and this is interesting too. So in July, I started to tell my family. I felt like I should tell them what I'm doing. And I told Galen, and then I said, if I'm going to do it, now's the time. I'm not getting any younger. That's what I said to him. Then I went with Dustin and Mandy, and I'm so proud. I set my titles out and my intro, and I set them out, and Dustin said, are you married to these titles? And I said, no.
Not anymore.
No, to the chapter titles. I went, no, that was just a little thought. I didn't mean that. And he gave me some great suggestions because, and I really wanted that feedback, but I think that even the titles are important. Yeah. So the title of chapter 7 is called When the Season Shifts. And I feel like my whole life has been a shift. I'm careful how I say that. But my whole life has been a shift. And that season, that particular chapter was when the season shifts, and the byline to that chapter is reinventing me. There was a decade, but an even shorter period of about 5 years, that so much in my life happened that I had to basically go through a total reinvention. And I wrote them down because I couldn't even believe it myself. So much change in a few years. And you guys, I'm looking at your faces. I see you. So many of you in here have gone through loss, hurt, accidents, cancer, sickness, and you've weathered the same kinds of storms. But I wrote down, in my 50s, because Galen says his 50s were his favorite decade of years. It's not mine. But he's older than me. So see, I was still in my 40s when he was in his 50s. But I wrote down, so my dad died unexpectedly. He'd had some cancers, but he died. This was in a very short period of time. My dad died. My mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and came to live with us for 2 years. And in the meantime, I was having grandbabies were being born like rabbits. And then the company I worked for 30 years closed suddenly with no notice, just a telephone call, a conference call to say what you've done for 30 years is over in 2 weeks. Then my mom died for complications from Alzheimer's. And then in the middle of all that, Brandon and Delaney said, we want to plant a church. I'm like, oh, cool. Texas, Colorado, maybe Arizona. There's heathens there. No. They want to go change the Washington, D.C. across the country. And so they told us that during that. And then to cap it off, in 2020, this was in a 5-year period, we had a leadership change at Citizen Church, leadership transition in our church, and we've been gearing for that for several years, and then in 2020 that happened. And then right after that, Brandon and Delaney moved to D.C. So I stopped and looked at that, and I thought, no wonder that I struggled in that season, and I had a hard time being grateful or thankful. I kind of liked the person I was. I liked the one who both her parents were still living and they weren't sick. And my kids all lived in the same town. We all went to the same church, and all 17 of us were together every Monday night. I liked that life. I liked that version of me. Yeah. And when things started changing so rapidly, it was really tough. And that's another reason why I probably couldn't have written this book then, because I was living it so real time, I could hardly function. And I am able to share that in that chapter, again, of God's faithfulness and gratefulness, because it was hard for me. I belabored over that chapter more than any. And one day, Heather, who works at our church, walked in the coffee shop here at Citizen North, where we're filming and recording, and I was bawling. She looked at me, and I was like, and I know she just kind of ducked her head and ran, thought, what is happening? I know she saw. But I was reading that chapter again. And all I could say then was, I'm bawling because it happened. I'm bawling because I'm so grateful and thankful that God kept his hand on my life and
so good.
And reinvented me and helped me reinvent who he had for me at that point. And I would have missed out on one of the most honest reflections of my life had I not written that chapter.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, because you were telling me the other day that it just kind of forced you to reflect. And all of those, the gratefulness and just thankfulness for God's faithfulness came up. In those reflections, do you think you would define legacy differently now than you would have maybe in the past.
Absolutely. And I know I have very young friends here in this studio audience today, and I also have those elderly ones like me. And someone at the church yesterday called. They said, Gayla, my husband's in here, and they said, we were the Citizen Church pastors of the elderly. So that's our new title. We're pastors of the elderly. So let's go. I thought we were oversight, but elderly, okay. We can be the elderly oversight. I mean, whatever you want to call us. I'm just like, what is this happening? But I used to think that legacy is what you leave behind.
Yeah.
And now I know legacy is what you live out every day. Legacy is what I live every day. And you know, every small decision, I don't care if you're listening to this podcast and you're 15 or you're in your 20s or 40s or 60s or 80s, you, every day, small decisions that we make are creating our legacy. Yep. And I am experiencing that more and more now. All the reflection over the last year, I feel like I've reflected so much, but it's caused me to step back and think, okay, I think we're doing this. My legacy is I look at my children and my grandchildren. You know, I love that my grandkids are 2 weeks old to 22 years old. One just born and one about to get married in a few months, and all the ages in between. Yeah. And if I could get through this life and say I'd done anything well, it would be that I was a good mom and an amazing grandma. That's what I want to do well. That's, to me, is legacy. But, you know, I also know, and I had that kind of heritage and legacy. That's how I grew up. Right. But I understand that the reality is we didn't all grow up that way. Everyone that's listening, that is not the life that you lived. And you sit in a room or you listen on your car, you're driving, you think, yeah, that's fine for you, but what about me? I mean, my life was a mess, and it was awful. I love that our Savior, our God, is a redeemer because he redeems. And I love that this is how life is. Someone has to go first. Yeah. Someone is the first in your line, in your family. Someone goes first. In my family, it was great-grandparents, but it might be someone listening today in their car, at their house, or in this room, that you would be the first one. So I love this. I wrote this down. I want to make sure you get it. You don't have to repeat what you were handed. So good. You can start fresh. Legacy starts today. I believe that. I believe it.
It's so good. It's so good. I think for you, in reading the book, there were a lot of in-between seasons. I'm not a fan of the in-between. I would like to not be there. I want to be on the other side of it. But why do you think we struggle so much in those in-between seasons?
I cannot stand to wait. I mentioned this in a podcast before, but I don't like to wait at a stoplight. I don't like to wait for food. I don't like to wait for you. I don't like to wait for anything. I can wait on the beach, and that's about it. That's why I like to wait. But you know why? I really have thought this through. And waiting is hard because we are trained for visible progress. We are not celebrated to wait in any area of our life. You know, your job, you get a mid-year review and an end-of-the-year review. You don't get a wonderful review because they said she was in a growth season. She was processing. That doesn't get you a 5 out of 5. You get a 5 out of 5 for growth and moving. And so that's counterintuitive to how God works because there's a whole lot of waiting and a whole lot of, you plant and you just stare at it. You wait and you wait and you wait but we're not rewarded for waiting in life. And I think that is something for us to take in. It's like even when if you're a parent or in a marriage, you know, it's hard because you're trying to bring lots of personalities together, and someone has to give in. Yep. Someone has to wait. And there's growth seasons. And I think waiting is tough. And hindsight's amazing, right? Hindsight is perfect. We say it's 2020, so hindsight is perfect. But when you're in the middle of it, it's tough.
It is.
It's really tough.
And the growing's not easy. It's like those growing pains of, God, why are you doing this? But on the other side, we can look in hindsight and see what he was doing. One of my favorite chapters was chapter 11, and it's just about gratitude. Let's dive into a little bit of that and why you wrote that chapter.
I don't know about you guys in the room and also those that listen, but if you listen to Christian music at all, for me, every time if I'm listening to Christian music and a song about gratitude comes on, I just start crying because I think what you said, I think, God, you are so faithful. If we'll allow you to be, you will prove yourself faithful in our lives. And so the whole gratitude thing, I wrote a lot of chapters. I wrote them actually in the order they're in the book. That's the order I wrote them, which is really interesting because I thought we would rearrange. But I got to 11, and I thought, I wonder if I could do a whole chapter on gratitude because I feel that gratitude is the cure for most anything.
Yeah.
It is a cure for a bad attitude, for just when we are cranky or we're mean or, our maybe sarcasm, or if we, sometimes I hear people say, I had a bad day with the kids. I understand because I have a bad day with your kids sometimes too. But if we stop to just take a step back and go, what could I be grateful for?
Yeah.
What can I find to be grateful for? I love this. I wrote this down. Gratitude doesn't ignore what's hard. It reframes what's present.
100%.
It does not say, I hate it when people say, just find, be thankful in that. The Bible does say to be thankful in all things, and even in trials and tribulations. But it is not God telling us to act like it didn't happen. It's to let him help us reframe that season that we're in or the experience that's happening, because gratitude changes a lot of things. It doesn't deny pain. It widens our vision. And I have had to learn this over and over. And I say this a lot in the book. I don't think I figured all this out. I laugh when I read those chapters and think, I wrote that. Like, I really believe it, but it doesn't mean I do it all the time.
Come on.
Because you don't think your pastor does everything they preach. They know they should, and they mean to, but they don't do it all because they know that they're learning too. We're all just people, and we know what's good. Joy is restored by recalibrating our perspective. I love that. If I want to be joyful, I also want to be happy.
Yeah.
But joy starts that process, and I am not always happy, and like a lot of times, I'm sad because something's happened to a friend of mine, something's happened to me. You don't think when I last week had to turn around and say goodbye to a 2-week-old baby, I'm like, that does not make me happy. I'm glad they're winning the world for Jesus, but I'm like, I'm dying over here, and it's all about me, right? Gratitude. But I want to have joy too. So I get it. I have bad days. I wrote down, gratitude is a discipline, but joy is often the fruit. Gratitude is discipline. We are not grateful because it comes natural.
Right.
We're grateful because we say, I'm going to find the thing to be grateful about. Yep. I'm going to find the thing. I'm pretty grateful right now. I tease a lot, and I have some things, happening. Everybody does in their life, but I think, God, isn't this awesome that I'm getting to do this even if it's now? I feel pretty grateful. I hope that people feel that when they read the book. I hope that they read a chapter, and I didn't write this in our notes, and I won't get the titles right because people changed my titles.
Shame.
My section titles. Actually, I'll attribute this. A person in our church named Garrett Stidworthy changed all the section titles in every one of my chapters. He said, KK, those don't sound very young. I don't think anybody young's going to read. I went, well, we better change them. And so we changed them for exactly what he said. But every chapter has the same 5 sections. I love predictability. I love to know what's next. And I know a lot about Gen Z, too. They love predictability. They don't love surprises either. And I really wrote this book for all of us, but to leave it in the hands of next gen. But there's a story at the beginning of every chapter. There's a story, a pivotal story, or some kind of anchor story. And then there's a section that I can't remember the name of it. And it's about what was really happening in that story. What was really happening when that happened. The third section is basically a hindsight section. What I can see now that I couldn't see then. Yeah. And isn't that a great place to write from?
Yes.
Like, I can see it now, and I have wisdom about it now. And then the next section in every chapter is what this can mean for you. So it's not just here's all the things that happened and here's blah, 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 what I did. It's like, so now, if you would, here's what you could do to take this and apply it to your marriage, to your family, to your life, in your job, in your situation, with your health and everything. And then the very last section of every chapter is, if I could leave you with one thought. It's like if you skip the other 4 sections and you only read this section, read the last section of the chapter, because I feel like I felt very, very convicted in my heart that if I didn't leave something for people reading it to be able to carry for themselves, I feel like that if I didn't do that, it would be a disservice. Then it would just be maybe, a biography. But as it is, it's a help book. I really, really, really think, God, no way you would have allowed me to experience all those decades and all this stuff to not be able to help somebody else.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it does. Yeah, let's give that a round of applause. We were talking the other day, and you used the term that you wrote this later in life. And I'm like looking at her like, later in life? She could run circles around all of us. But I know we talked about that specific season of why you wrote it. But let's talk about like later in life and why, and the wisdom that comes from that.
I've mentioned this a little bit already, but we all know I repeat myself, so I'll just do that some more. I think, and I want to spend some time on this, I want to encourage you. So yes, later in life, but that can be anyone in here. You can be in your 20s and feel like so much life has passed you by already, or in your 40s and think, so much of my life has passed me by and I have not yet done what I feel like God had planned for me. And I want to say to you, you are not finished.
Right.
You're not done, and we are becoming. You're always becoming. And if you truly each day get up and say, God, what do you want from me today? What I did not want is in this decade to just let life happen to me. I was like, I want to take this and I want to do something meaningful with it. I really feel like that. I laugh when I say that I have something to say. I've said that more than once. I have a lot to say a lot of times, but this has been a most special season. And if you would have told me, honestly, and some of you in here have tried, if you would have told me 10 years ago, 7 years ago, 5 years ago, that I would feel this way now, I would have just said, stop. You're just trying to placate me. You're just saying things to try to make me feel better. And I don't feel good. But thankfully, God He's okay with that. And that people spoke positively into my life. And I can look at this season and be good with that. And I think that, so later in life doesn't actually mean an age. It means life has not passed you by. Yeah. It's hard sometimes if maybe you're single in the room and you really want to be married and you think, I'm past my window. The good thing is, God doesn't understand that verbiage. He doesn't have a window. He does what He does in His time, and God has a purpose for your life. And you could be, maybe, I know I have friends in here who so badly want to have children, and God has not done that in your life yet. And people listening saying, it all sounds so good, but you don't know what I'm going through. God's not finished.
Yeah.
And this is what, I never would have written this story for my story. This would not have been what I'd have written. I had a different story, and it's in the book. You'll have to get it. What I thought God would do. But I love this version of the story He wrote. So I can't say what God's going to do in your life, but I promise you will look back and go, oh my gosh, I see your hand, Lord, in everything in my life. And I can see that you were writing my story all along the way, and it's not over. Maybe you've gone through a loss like I experienced. Maybe you've gone through divorce, and you think, I don't see myself ever starting over again. That pain, I don't want to walk through that. I don't want to love again because I don't want to walk through that pain again. But God, He will have a plan. And I'm just saying, if you'll be open to it, I was so stubborn. I mean, people tried to speak life into me. I mean, Galen gave up. And he's like, just go ahead and have your pity party because you're not listening to me anyway. That's my husband. But I am so glad that God didn't give up on my questions and my time. And if He would have let me stay in that funk that I was in, it would have been it wouldn't have been great. But He helped me through that. So I would encourage you, And you know we say this, old people say it in the lines. I say it to people in the grocery store, oh, enjoy that season. It'll go by so fast. And they're thinking, how fast? Because I need it to go over. But I'm just saying, if you'll ask God in the middle of your season, even if it's a bad season or the good season, God, what do you want from me right now? I don't want to live the life that I have for me because I would have screwed it up. I want the life that God has for me because I can truly look right now and go, He's got a better life. Yeah, do I want all my family? I want to build a compound and everybody just live on my property. So I get it. Do I really like every little thing? No, but God has a plan, and I love that.
Yeah.
That's why I'm writing later in life, because I have perspective, and I also feel like I have a responsibility to pass it on, and to anybody, even someone older than me. I feel like I have a responsibility to pass it to them too, because God wants to do really, really amazing, wonderful things, and I think we just have to be willing to let Him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. It's so good. We didn't talk about this question, but I think you are so good about surrounding yourself with the right people. Could you maybe just, to someone who is thinking, but I don't have anybody to bounce something off of. I can't have that kind of conversation with somebody to challenge me or push me forward. What would you say maybe to that person?
Quick shout out to today's featured sponsor, Flowers by Zach Lowe, Albuquerque's family-owned florist since 1993, creating fresh, beautiful arrangements at affordable prices with unmatched customer service. Order online and support local at flowersbyzachlowe.com. Hey friends, I'm so glad you're here. If you're enjoying this episode, please take a second to subscribe, leave a quick review, and share it with a friend. It's the best way for people to find the podcast and to be encouraged. Now, back to the conversation. Okay, first I would say, while you're finding your tribe, get a really good counselor. And I'm not kidding. I say that all the time. Not any therapist. Get a Christian, Spirit-filled, someone who can hear from God kind of counselor that can speak to you while you're building a positive tribe around you. Because everybody's not your person. There's a chapter in the book on friendship, and I talk a lot about that. Everybody's not your person. I know we have a new bestie all the time with our selfie. Everybody's, this is my new bestie. I'm like, you don't have a new bestie that you met today, tomorrow. It takes time, right?
Yeah.
It takes time to build a friendship, but while you're building that team, and it takes a team for me, while you're building your team for your mental health, get a good counselor.
Yeah.
And then I think for me, building people around me in my life, it's been a decades-long process. Decades. And some of you are newer friends to me, but and I love that you're in my life, but it will take longer for me to tell you things than I will someone I've been a friend for 40 years.
Yeah.
Or 45 now, that I'll talk to, more. Or your nail person for 3 years. I mean, you'll tell them, because you think they'll never see them, and here she is. She can see you.
Well, she's stuck there. She can't go anywhere. She's doing her nails. She has to listen.
Every time I think, she's thinking, here she comes. But I really do feel, I surround myself with people who are better than me.
It's great.
That can do things at a higher level than I can do.
Yeah.
They are a better friend than I am. They're a better person than I am. They love God. And I can strive. Like, why would I want to have people around me that are wonk, wonk? I want people around me that lift me to be better.
So good, yep.
That push me to be better.
Yep.
I want to be with them.
Yep.
And if you have a student, if you're a parent of a teen or listening or watching or in this room, a teen or even, a toddler or someone in elementary school, it's your job to help them build that tribe. It's your job.
Right.
And I feel, wherever you're listening, it is your job as a parent to find them a community that is like-minded as you.
Yeah.
That we have strong spiritual values in our home. We are Christians, and we have strong spiritual values, and we want our kids to be raised like that. So why would I allow them to hang out all the time with people who believe exactly opposite?
Come on.
There's a time later in life when you'll befriend people who don't think like you, and you're more mature and you can handle it. But when you're a baby Christian, or you're young, or your kids, you you don't just throw them out to the wolves and say, okay, whatever happens, you guide them and you lead them. And so to answer your question, to that point, they say that on Fox News. To that point, to your point, Marion, I'd just like to say, and as a side note, I asked Lainey, who's been the project manager for this book, I said, how do you get on Fox News? I want them to interview me. How do I get there? So if y'all know somebody, or CBN, I'll go there even. I'll go to the Catholic Church Network. I mean, get me somewhere. If you know somebody that'll interview me for this book, you tell them, she's so good. But anyway, that's a thought. But to your point, Marianne, I believe that your circle will be small. Jesus had the crowds that came to hear him. Then he had the disciples that were 12, and they were close to him, but he had a small group of 3.
Yep.
And I think that your friendship group will never be huge, although I feel like I have a lot of people in my life right now that I call friends, probably more than I've ever had.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And so many of them are under 30 years old, or 30 or under. One's about to turn 30. I love this group, but you're going to have a small friend group.
Yeah.
And I've watched you do the same thing.
Yeah.
My kids have done the same thing. And we help the grandkids do the same thing. We guide them to find that group.
Yeah, I love it.
That's a long answer to your point.
No, but it's so beneficial, and the biblical picture of how Jesus handled friendship. I mean, why would we not follow that? And I love it, and you show us that. Another thing I just want to touch on. Throughout your book, there are so many just disciplines that are countercultural. So like you touched on one earlier, when you're frustrated, or maybe you're driving to church and you and your husband were in an argument, or the kids are driving you crazy and you're like trying to do the grab a leg thing. You want to walk in and maybe you don't want to worship, but it is that discipline of lifting your hands in that season that maybe you feel the worst. I don't care how I feel, I'm going to lift my hands and worship. How do you get to a place where that just becomes, is it from that source of gratitude where that just becomes normal, where I'm going to do opposite of what my human nature wants to do?
Well, the first answer I have is my husband and I never fight going to church. We haven't ever, because we don't ride together. This is what I've taught my children. And the reason Jonathan, our middle son, doesn't fight with his wife driving to church is because he lets her drive. So Mandy and Dustin don't ride together, Brandon and Delaney don't ride together, and John and Jess do, but he lets her drive. So that keeps that. So that's how we do that. I don't ride to church with my husband. We've never had a fight on the way to church.
Love it.
So if y'all can just be like
Little
me.
tip.
Little tip. There's a little tip you didn't pay for. But I will, seriously, there are times that I have struggled with that very thing. I have walked in church and not wanted to be there because everybody's all happy, and I'm like, I'm not happy. I don't feel it today. I am not feeling it. Yeah. And we're singing songs about God's faithfulness and time after time, and he's always on time, and he heals everybody. I'm like, well, he didn't heal my dad. He didn't heal my mom. He let her have Alzheimer's of all things. She never did one thing wrong. I don't think she even committed a sin. But she had to have that, and I would stand there going, it's just not fair. And I would have a hard time. And it took me time to get through that and to say, God, anyway. And I would just push through. I didn't quit going to church. I never missed a service. Matter of fact, I go to 4 services every Sunday morning. I go to all of them. So God has 4 chances to get my heart right on Sunday. But I had to push through that. I had to fight through it. Yeah. And I've had to say it to people and ask why myself. So the Bible talks about sometimes our praise to God, because he asks us to worship him, and in spirit and in truth, and the Bible refers to a sacrifice of praise. Yeah. And sometimes, for many of us, we've had times in our life where we've walked in and we haven't felt it. But I will also tell you this, I've been married 45 years, and I hadn't always felt it. You know, have you been married a while and thinking, I know my husband's in this room, he's felt the same way. There have been times that we've gone through seasons, not very long seasons, but I mean more than a day, that we haven't gotten along, that we've disagreed on something so big that it would cause tension and strife in our home. And if you haven't ever had that and you're married, it's going to happen. So figure it out. But there's times, but I made a commitment on January 24th, 1981. We made a commitment to be married no matter what. So we get through the hard times by the sacrifice of that we signed a contract before God, a spiritual contract, and one, with your state or whatever, just a contract. And we stay married, and we worked through it. And that's what I do with God. And I love this. He's okay if we work through it with him.
Right.
He's our Father. And just like you would if you're a parent with your kid, you work through it with them.
Yeah.
When they're having a hard time, you don't just boot them out the door,
Right.
maybe the third time, but you don't the first time. And you work through it with your child or your teenager.
Yes.
You work through that with them to get them where they are now. And God, I'm so grateful that he will do that with me, that he's okay with my tone sometimes. He's okay with my unbelief. And I've been a Christian a long time, and I still can sit there sometimes going, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But he's okay with that, and then he'll prove himself, and I can look back, and say, okay, God. I just love that. I thought a lot writing this book, what if I weren't a Christian? What if I wasn't? I mean, how would I feel right now? I can't imagine facing the things I've gone through in my life and not having a relationship with God in my life, but also the community.
Yeah.
I have look, I know 100 people that would come on a Tuesday night to celebrate a podcast with me, a 50th episode. That's a cool thing. I wouldn't have that if my kids just went to school. I have that because I'm at church all the time. I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's an amazing question, and I love that. I think that's awesome.
Well, you're
Thank you.
an amazing example. What do you think about kind of wrapping this up with some rapid fire questions?
Go ahead.
What do you think?
Because I wrote the questions. So rapid fire away.
We're really going to shock her with some of these. What, you don't know if I threw one in there.
I don't know.
I didn't. Okay.
You could.
I wouldn't dare. All right. A word that describes your faith right now. One word.
Oh, I have to, okay.
No, you can go ahead.
I thought a lot about that because it made me think, what is the word? And I came up with the word anchored. I feel very anchored. And that feels so safe.
Yeah.
We sang a song when I was a little girl. I've anchored in Jesus, the storms of life. What's the other word? What is it, Devonna? I've anchored in Jesus.
Devonna.
I'll fear no wind or wave. I've anchored in Jesus, for he has power to save. I've anchored to the rock of ages. I love an anchor in a storm. What better place to be is anchored? I want to be anchored before the storm, during the storm, and after the storm. I want to be anchored, and I feel anchored.
I love that.
I'm so happy that I
So
feel that
good.
way.
So good. What's a season of your life that you appreciate more now?
That was hard, and I really just wrote an answer to that today. I feel that the season that I appreciate more are the seasons that I try to rush through. I try to rush through. I think back, and everybody doesn't want that whole story, and it'll be some in the book, but, when just like our church was small and my husband and I had to do everything, I wanted to rush through that, but it taught us so much. I learned so much. I wouldn't be this person had we not gone through that. We went through some hard times, in ministry, being in the same place 45 years, there's a lot of things that, life happens. You work with people, and we're all flawed. Nobody's perfect. But I think that I rushed through them because I wanted out so bad. But the lessons I learned in those seasons, and, I think a lot of us, we try to rush through when our kids are little because they're, it's just, you want it to hurry up, and if they can all get to school. I said this my entire life. I said it to one friend for sure, to my friend Cindy. All those years I'd say, when we just get through this, things are going to settle down. I won't be as busy. Things are going to settle down. It won't be so hard. And that never happened.
Yeah.
It never happened. Yeah. But I think I wish I would have just embraced those seasons for what they were, the ones I tried to rush. My kids to grow up so fast, and now all I want them to do is be home. That would be, for me, the seasons I appreciate now are the ones I really tried to rush through.
It's good wisdom for us to take. What's something you hold more loosely now?
Okay, I have to preface. I do not have this down pat. The question is more loosely.
In progress.
Yes. Expectations, timelines. I love a schedule and I want to control, and I'm good at it. And it's hard for me because I'm just, when your family grows and your kids grow up and they're adults and they have adult children, things aren't always what I prefer. And so I have to hold timelines loosely, and that's really hard. And my husband constantly is telling me, back off, because that's not our control anymore. And I have to trust God that He knows my heart.
Yeah.
And so the things I work on now that would be expectations and timelines, that's hard for me. And it's a challenge every day, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I know if you're friendly with me more than just a hello or here and there, this is how I feel. I've probably told you 1,000 times what I wish I could control.
Yeah.
But that's hard. Did anybody else feel that way, listening or watching or in this room? Like you want to control something? It's hard.
For sure. Yeah,
It's hard.
absolutely. What's something that brings you joy?
I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but it's and no shade on my children. Didn't that sound very Gen Z? No shade on my kids. I love them all and their wives. Those grandkids, I'm going to tell you, they don't even know. They don't know how much control they have over me or their pop, KK and Pop. They have us wrapped so tight, and they don't understand. When they walk in the room, I can be here at Citizen Coffee, and one of the older ones, Avery or Aiden, will walk in, and honestly, I want to jump up and run and just tackle them. I'm so excited to see them. They don't even understand.
Yeah.
I want to grab them and hug them, and I'm just like, I haven't seen them in a week or two because they're busy, and they're our whole world. And the babies and the ones in between. I love that. I love that some of them will call on Monday and say, KK, or they'll text and say, what's for family dinner tonight? What's for dinner? Lucy always asks, what's for dessert?
Aww.
She's my granddaughter and her Nana's granddaughter. But Asher and Aiden will text, what's for dinner? And I love that. But I want to see them. Literally, Galen feels the same way. Their name will pop up on our phone, a text from them, and you would have thought the king that just text us. We're just so happy to hear from them. If they only knew the leverage they had against us. They would text all the time, call all the time. And Asher has learned it.
Yeah.
And everybody in this room knows. Asher has it down pat.
So I have to tell a story here. Oh my gosh, it was a couple of years ago. We were in Columbus, Ohio for Fine Arts, which is a competition that our church does. And we were, I think Nick and I were, no, Nick, you weren't even with me. Hazel and I maybe were at Shake Shack, and there's like a board that has all the names of the orders that are coming in, and one of them says Asher, W. And he had ordered DoorDash for him and like 8 of his friends to deliver to the hotel on KK's credit card. Did he get in trouble for that?
Well, yes, but no.
No.
I have told him, who brings me joy, I've told that child, who is now almost 17, I've said, for all the DoorDash I've spent on you, permission and non-permission, I could have bought you a car. So years ago, I told him that. When he's about 10, he said, I don't need a car. Now?
He needs a car.
He needs a car. And I said, you ate your car. So there's that. And people in here, you all know that child, but all of them, they light up our life.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that to have those 10. There's 10 now, 5 girls, 5 boys.
Yeah.
Could it get any better?
Yeah.
11? Do I hear any takers? Okay.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. What is the truth, one truth that's taken the longest to learn?
Is that on there?
It sure is. I threw it in.
Okay.
No, I didn't. You can.
No, you didn't. This is a true story. Speak to that. The truth that has taken me the longest to learn is that I can't carry results like I want to. I mentioned control. I want to carry results like they are mine to manage. I want to carry the weight of my family. I take that on. Nobody told me to. I take on the weight that everybody's happy and everybody's wants to be together. I have this thing, like, if I die, who's going to hold this together? So I work so hard to try to keep that all going together. So I think that the truth I've had the hardest time learning is that it really isn't up to me. I really don't have that kind of leverage that I think I do or control. I can do the best I can. I can work on the legacy, and I can try to build relationship with family and friends the best I can. But ultimately, people are responsible for themselves. They make their own decisions, and they have to want it as bad as I do. Don't you ever? Sometimes I want it so bad for somebody. Mm-hmm. I want it for them more than they want it for themselves. Yeah. And I'm like, I can't do that. And that's what I am learning, and it's taken me a lot longer to learn, is I can't want it unless somebody else wants it too. I can't want it for them. And so I've tried to pray harder before. Mm-hmm. I've tried to work harder, do more for people, to win, to earn their love, their trust. And you can't do it.
Yeah.
You have to leave it in God's hands. I however, can be bought. You can earn my love.
Oh my gosh.
Just a nice gift. Okay.
Notes. Taking notes. Oh my gosh. This has been incredible, Kay. And
we try to be spiritual now, and I'll try.
No, I'm always down for a good time. I got lots of stories mostly about Asher.
Yes, because Asher, the grandson, is best friends with her daughter, Britton.
Oh, another story. Can I tell one?
Maybe
more?
I'll have Asher on the podcast sometime.
Oh, please. So I don't know if I ever told you this, but when we were living in England, our long extended vacation, just kidding. Nick and I were watching TV one night. I'm like, what is that sound? And I mute the TV, and you just hear this, singing at the top of her lungs, Britton, up in her room. I'm telling you, it's far away in the house, singing at the top of her lungs. And we go in there, we're like, what are you doing? And Asher's on the other end on FaceTime, and they're harmonizing together, just singing at the top of their lungs. And it was just the funniest thing. It's the sweetest thing. Sorry. Aww,
and
I know.
You see why you got... If you're watching, listening in the room, and you have grandkids, I want to go back on that a second, because they're the thing I love so much. You know that you love your kids, but there is nothing like a grandchild.
Yeah.
It's just God's favor and blessing to not killing your children.
Yes. I don't know if I'm ready to be grandma yet, though.
Oh, you are. No, you're not. But you are. You got married kids. You have married kids, so you are.
Nick and I keep telling Dom and Kinsey, just wait.
No, it's fine. It's great.
I'm not ready to be grandma. All right.
Yeah.
I love something about your podcast that I love so much is you always end the same way, and that's. Do you have some final thoughts for us, and then let's close in prayer. If you'll pray over us.
I was thinking today a lot in the last few days about the whole concept of unfolding, and it feels like that word. We talked about being in the middle, and that's a thought I'd like to leave, is that you aren't really stuck. I feel like that we think we're stuck, and that is a season. It's a place. It's a place. All throughout the Bible, people felt they were stuck, but and I know you'll know this if you've been a Christian for very long, or in your life, if you've got some years under your belt, you know that God, He's always up to something.
Yeah.
He's always working for our good. It is so hard to see it. So there's times I'm thinking, God, you're not there. Mm-hmm. I'm here stuck in this middle, and I don't see you, hear you. I don't understand what's happening, but He's working, and He's always working. And I love that. I finally know that. I finally understand it. And there'll be times I'll struggle with that again. There'll be times I still won't believe. In my own life, God, I don't see your hand. I don't feel it. I don't understand what's happening. But now I have enough experience to know, and I want to leave my experiences with you, so then you can just even use mine. Use my life. And God, I know if you can do it for her, you will do it for me.
Right.
If you don't love one of us more than the other, and if you can do it for her child, you can do it for my child. If you can do it for their marriage, you can do it for mine. If you can do it for, my job, if you can find them a job of their dreams. I never realized the job of my dreams was not working. I've tried to find a way to make money. doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened yet. But I love that God He really is up to something. And you really can believe, you really can have faith, you really can sing the songs on Sunday. And even if you don't believe them when you're singing them, you can trust that you will.
Yeah.
You will believe it. You will be okay. You will come through to the other side. And like Dustin preached Sunday, we would never know what a mountain looked like if we didn't have to climb it.
Yeah.
We wouldn't even know it was a mountain.
Great.
We would have no frame of reference if we had not been at the bottom and have to crawl our way up. We wouldn't know that there was the beauty of a mountain. We wouldn't even know it. I love that. So I wanted you, we're always unfolding. And I just, my dream is that you would, yes, get the book, but apply it, highlight it. A month or so after it's out, I'm going to do an audio recording too. So you can have me all the time, my voice. And you can put me on in your car and I'll just talk to you all the way to work and back. Don't totally sweat the awful chapter in your life. Don't fight it. It might well be the most meaningful chapter.
Great.
The decade of my 50s, which I wouldn't want to repeat, has turned out to be so meaningful to me and so formative. I needed that decade.
Yeah.
I had to have that decade. So I want you to know it too. And to understand, like I've mentioned before already in this podcast, you're not behind. You're becoming, you're unfolding. Yeah. Every layer, there's something special. Don't you love it when you're watching a show? I'll be watching I like TV series better than movies these days. But I love it when you can, in one that has like 12 episodes, but they're all the same story. There's a thread going through it. And about the 4th, 5th, 6th episode, you're going, I know where this is going. I know where this is going. I love that in my life. I love in my life when I'm going through something or I'm struggling or I feel stuck, when I get to a place and I'm like, I can see where this is going. Yeah. God, I can see the plan unfolding. Isn't that great when you can see the plan unfolding? I love that. It's easier to see it for someone else than it is for your own self. But I would love to leave that thought that you're not behind. You're not, I can't say you're not in a bad place because I don't know exactly what you're going through. But I do know, whatever place you're in, God will use it, and you will look back and go, okay, I can see it now. I love that. You are faithful. I'm grateful. And, wow, just that's what I have to say.
Yeah.
I love that.
So good. So good, Kay. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time to write the book, to share your stories, to share your wisdom. And just this has been so encouraging, and it's just a snippet of what you're going to read in the book. So thank you for saying yes to God and yes to people prompting you to do it. And I just think it's going to be amazing.
Thank you.
So will you pray over us?
I will. We know there's people in the room, and I can see your faces, so it's easy for me. I know some of your stories, and I just want to pray for you, but also the world. It's crazy about the world of podcasts. Sometimes people listen to them the day they come out, drop, and sometimes they hear them months later.
Yeah.
So you never know when someone's listening or watching what place in their life that they might be. So we're going to pray for people that might listen right away tonight in the room, and those who down the road might listen to this, that maybe if you're struggling, you would feel hopeful, that you will feel hopeful by listening and being a part of the podcast. So let's pray. Father, I just thank you for bringing my friends in this room, God, people that I trust, I admire, that I feel connected to, that I feel like are, that cheer for me, that are excited about this season of my life. And God, I just want to say how grateful I am for them. But also, God, I just want to bring people before you that may be struggling, God, that maybe they're not in a place that they feel like that they're moving forward, they feel stuck, they feel in the waiting season. God, people that are listening, watching when the podcast drops, or even in the room, God, I just pray that you would give them faith to know that you have not forgotten them. Yeah. And everything is really part of your plan, and you will let us see it unfold as you need us to see it. And God, I just thank you that you never walk away from us, you never walk out of our life, you're always with us, you're just a whisper away. And God, I thank you for that. I just pray that in this room, God, that you would let people see their divine appointment. God, those listening in their cars or in their homes, driving to work, that you would let them know that they have a divine appointment with you, that you have our steps ordered. You have a plan. What we really need to do is just ask you what it is and to ask you to help us follow it every day, even when we can't see it, when we can't feel it, God, that you have a plan for our life. And I can't imagine living these years without you, God. And I'm just so grateful that you love me, that you love us, and that you have our greater good always in mind. And you are always on time, God. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for giving us space in our lives to unfold. In Jesus' name, amen. A quick thank you to Herencia Parrilla Grill, exquisite flavors and authentic Mexican cuisine made with bold flavor and heart. Plan your next meal and view the menu at herenciaabq.com. Thank you for joining me today on Table Talks. For more content and information about upcoming episodes, please visit my website at kaywoodward.com. You can also explore other podcast links and resources there. Until next time.